Hi everybody, Dr. Biology here, and this is A-level biology tips for exams. Now, I was thinking of doing predictions for 2023, but I will really be honest with you, as a teacher of A-level biology, it's not an easy thing to do. Okay, so predictions are really difficult, and there are things you can do, and we'll talk about those things that you need to do to prepare fully for this exam. But you can, as it says here, you can't predict the future, but you can plan for it. So I'm going to give you some tips and some advice. So the first bit of advice I'm going to give you is, what do we know from last year? So last year, students, they were given advance information. So this is from the exam board, and it was related to ongoing issues with COVID-19. Now, you guys, I know you guys were affected by COVID-19, but unfortunately they're not. Well, they will be taking that partially into account, but there's going to be no kind of advance information for you. However, I am going to show you the advance information from last year, because it gives you a few pointers of where there may be some exam questions available. Okay, so here is paper one. So you've got the 4 units in paper one. From mainly year 12 work for my students, and you'll see the numbered boxes on the right. The numbered boxes show the priority last year to certain topics. Now, other things could come up, so if there wasn't a black box, it might still have come up. Okay, but it showed you the priority areas for last year's paper one. So what's very interesting is that in certain sections, there weren't many, if at all, any questions, particularly the second half of biological molecules. So nothing really on nucleic acids, ATP, water. Now, water is a big one, properties of water and inorganic ions. Very little on general information about monomers and polymers, and lipids as well. So there's some areas that might help. In terms of cells, there was quite a bit about cells last year, but there was no real information on stem cells, and there was pretty much, I can't remember anything, if at all, much at all, related to immunity. So the immune system and cell recognition, so phagocytosis, the specific immune response, I think that would be a good area to do a lot of work on. And then organisms exchange materials with the environment. So there's very little on digestion and absorption, and that relates to cells. So co-transport. So remember the co-transport aspects with glucose and sodium ions, and also surface area to volume ratio. So maybe work out some calculations there related to surface area to volume. And then finally, the genetic information, variation and relationships. Again, in both paper one and paper two, there's hardly any genetics at all. So lots about protein synthesis, good 5-6 marker there. So make sure you know about translation and transcription, DNA, genes and chromosomes, species and taxonomy as well. So classification, phylogenetic trees, and then investigating diversity as well. Right, on to paper two. So paper two, you can see there was quite a strong emphasis on energy transfers and also homeostasis, particularly homeostasis and the nerves and inheritance and gene expression. Now, I would say a really good unit area to practice is 3.7 and 3.8. The control of gene expression, there was hardly anything on there. Okay, there was a bit about epigenetics, I think, but there was nothing on gene technologies, recombinant DNA, DNA probes, all that kind of in vitro, in vivo, PCR, genetic fingerprinting, all that kind of stuff was not in last year. And also, well, genetics, it's funny that evolution may lead to speciation. It's saying there was very little. Well, there was quite a bit, actually. So there was a speciation question there. Anyway, very little as well on stimuli, about internal, external, and also about muscles as well. So muscle contractions and stuff like that. Okay, there was a bit about the kidney, but again, kidney is always a very popular thing to do. ADH, definitely. Okay, so that was paper 2, and then there you go, paper 1 and paper 2. Now, paper 3, by the time you get to paper 3, it's not really on content. It's more on your ability to answer the exams. So exam technique is going to be really important. But there were some big questions on photosynthesis in paper 3. All cells arise from other cells. So DNA, protein synthesis, mass transport. So I think paper 3 is really hard to predict. I think it's more an exam technique. And that is why, my friends, you need to check out 2 of my videos. Firstly, there's me with shorter hair. Okay, so what do we know about the exam? So you need to know about the structures of the exam. So please do look at my video. I'll put the address down in the comment, in the summary box. Okay, so the structure of the exam, knowing what kind of questions you're going to come up against. Command words are really, really important. Secondly, exam technique. Now, this is quite a long video, but it has really good kind of tips on how to tackle those exam questions. Because remember, quite a few bits of the questions, like calculations and then evaluating material, using and analyzing information, there are little things you can do to help yourself. I would also add that you need to, for your revision, use the spec. Specification is really, really important. Past paper practice, topic practice, exam practice, flashcards, making sure that you chunk your revision. Don't just try and revise everything all at once. Try and mix and match things. Try and relate things together as well. It's really important, particularly when you come to the essays. The essays are another thing, but please, and I'm going to say this, do not try to predict the essays. Okay, I would just do every single essay, look at every single essay you can, and that will help you. But if you've done really good revision, then it should be okay. All right, so that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to, I think some of my other, not colleagues, but other YouTubers have gone further with predictions, but that's as far as I'm going to go, I think. I don't really want to send you down a rabbit hole, and I definitely don't want to get things wrong for you. So all I'm going to say is be prepared, use the available information you've got, take on board your teacher's advice. Your teachers are so important. They do a fantastic job for you, and I'm sure they're going to give you some great advice as well. Check out these 2 videos, though. They will really help, particularly the exam technique one. And I wish you all well for 2023. You can do this. I believe in every single one of you. Take care. See you soon.